Sylvia Nicolas grew up in Holland with dreams of being a ballerina. But with a sculptor for a mother and her father a noted stained glass artist, her path to artistic greatness was already paved.
Oh, I think probably I was born that way. I think it probably is just in the bones or whatever.
She has lost track of where all her work is scattered. Her stained glass, mosaics, paintings, drawings, statues, even costume designs are admired all over the world.
The favorite medium is the one I'm working with at the moment. It's what I'm doing that is the important thing.
Even in her mid-80s, she is still taking commissions, working harder than ever.
This is the way I sort of slam things into spot. I think if I retire, I would be dead in a month. I really love working. But it's not, it's great when you have a project. I mean, here I have 2 commissions working on, which is the first time that I have 2 at the same time. It's not been easy, because they are different disciplines. One is stained glass, which is, you have to have a careful hand, etc. And the sculpture, the clay is so hard, I have to heat it between 2 heating pads, because I don't have strong enough, Ernie I don't have strong enough fingers. This is Thomas Aquinas. I have just really spent a year with Thomas Aquinas, but it's not the first time. And for a while, he would have a different face every day, because that's, of course, the most fun part.
Sylvia has lived in the same Mount Vernon home for more than 40 years, and although she does most of her work in the barn, every room is her studio, the entire home her gallery.
I love to dance, and it really is very often a question of movement. I like, because I put my pen on the paper and I don't stop. I just, swirl all around, dancing on the paper. And since there's nobody to dance with me anymore, I do it on paper. So in this room I do my painting. When I get the time, which it's really a violon dingue, my painting.
Her great-grandfather started a stained glass business in 1850 and passed his talents down through 5 generations of artists. Her father, Joop Nicolas, is regarded by many as the father of modern stained glass.
In 1939, the Dutch were paying for the murals in the Rockefeller Center and asked him to do this. So that's when we immigrated. He sold the firm there and the studio, and we immigrated here, and then 6 months later there was the war and all the money got stuck in Holland, so he never did it. He was so famous in Holland at the time that the children would learn his name in school, and now nobody knows who he is anymore.
Joop went on to have a prolific career in the U.S., and Sylvia mingled with some heady names. She often traveled to California to visit her uncle, author Aldous Huxley, and rubbed elbows with Igor Stravinsky, Marc Chagall, and many famous architects and artists and musicians of the times and people inspiring her art.
Of course, I prefer the sun. I'm really sort of addicted to light.
In 1965, Joop Nicolas was hired to design and create the windows for the Abbey Church at St. Anselm College, and Sylvia's mother was asked to sculpt the statuary. The project coincided with Sylvia's work in mosaics, and the undertaking became a family affair. Soon after, Sylvia began to call New Hampshire home. She continued her relationship with St. Anselm College, sculpting the imposing statue of its patron.
I'm a storyteller, yes, because I think there's this one window in Wichita is the only abstract thing I've ever done. Because I find it so hard when I'm fascinated by people. I love people, I love the gestures, I love everything. And I want to, sort of tell that.
Sylvia says one needn't be deeply religious to understand and appreciate the stories told in liturgical art. Stained glass, she notes, was originally meant to be Biblia Pauperum, or the Bible for the poor.
This is what windows are like too. It's the comic strip in glass. Because the whole question of doing windows was telling the stories to those people who couldn't read. the windows would tell the story so that the priest could preach using one of those stories to illuminate. Now I'm doing the stories out of the life of Saint Benedict. But, you know, it could be Dick Tracy or Superman or something like that. But nobody realizes that, you know, this is my religion. I mean, I'm not good at praying. It appeals to me too because they are wonderful stories with wonderful people in it whom I admire. Very often, and if you have a lot of work, what they do is, oh, you know, you've got Saint so-and-so, she's got this. Saint Gregory's got beehive. Saint got that. And you go and you just draw that without ever finding out who these people were. But that's the whole thing, is that you have to find out without becoming boring about it, you know, but get an inkling. I mean, get a feeling for it.
That feeling and the family tradition will continue on. Her youngest son lives in Holland and is a fifth-generation stained glass artist. Back here in New Hampshire, Sylvia will continue to create.
The work will live on, and at my age you usually get to the point where you think, well, the work is so much more enjoyable than anything else, that you're just very happy in doing what you're doing. And what always happens when you do this kind of work is that you have so many ideas and so many things you could go on working for the next 200 years.